So, Alan, I've got to ask, how did I do? All right.
Pretty good.
Yeah.
Thank you for your amazing story.
Oh, thanks.
You nearly had me and Lauren crying.
Nearly.
So thank you.
Yeah. I just want to say, yeah, nearly. I mean, you know what I mean? Alan, nearly. I was looking for tears. You know what I mean? I need to put my glasses
We
on.
haven't stopped talking yet, so you
Excuse me?
might get them.
Say again?
We haven't stopped talking yet, so you might get tears by the end.
So why don't we start with you, Alan? Would that be okay?
Yeah.
Fantastic. Alan, I'm going to ask you outright, because I know that you have examples, but you represent Empowering Young People in Care and the Irish Wheelchair Association, and you represent Speaking Out.
Yeah.
But my question to you is, do you feel heard?
It's improving, but I'd say no, to be honest. But it is improving. There's lots of steps we need to take, but we'll get there. It's a slow process. I feel Ireland is behind in a lot of aspects of disability, but it's improving, as I said, and I feel like it's not talked about enough in this country. Yes, I have a disability, but yes, I'm capable of so much. Like, I would have never thought I would be able to speak in a building like this. So, on behalf of EPIC, I'd like to say a massive thank you for this opportunity. Yes, I am a child in care, but I'm a child. I'm not a child, sorry. I'm an adult.
Yeah.
Most of the time. But I am a young person in care. We do have a voice. Yeah, we were brought up in the care system, but we have loads of talents. Our amazing youth council would be a great example of those talents. We have footballers.
Yes, we'll come to that. We'll come to Mr. Adams.
We have social workers.
Yes, and we'll speak to Arson. Are you taking my job here? Is that what's going on?
No, I'm just giving you an example of the diversity we have on the youth council.
Yeah.
Yes, we grew up in the care system, but that wasn't our fault. It was the way life decided we would be in the care system. We didn't decide to be in the care system.
We didn't decide to be in the care system. Thank you. Thanks for that. It's the way life decided for us.
Yeah.
I'm good. Thanks for introducing the rest of the guests as well. I'll speak to Lauren. Thank you, Alan. Lauren, tell me about stigma, because I think that's part of what you were speaking about that needs to be changed.
I mean, we could speak for hours on stigma, but there's a few ones, like, just basically not being represented, really. When you think about, say, in schools, care is not taught about, you're not taught different kinds of care and stuff like that. That can be a stigma. I know for myself in school, myself and my foster siblings obviously had different surnames. And it was like, you'd start a new class and it'd be like, oh, you're so-and-so's brother. And then you get that funny eyebrow raise, like, well then why is your name O'Toole and their name isn't? That kind of stuff.
Oh, sorry, that doesn't seem like... I was brought up in care. I've got things to say about this as well, but I won't.
Yeah.
But what I will say is that that seems quite light. You know, somebody just notices your name. Is the stigma serious, or is it not so serious? You know, does it have an effect, and if so, how?
Of course, it has an effect. You know, it's not nice to be in a situation where you feel that you're the odd one out. You feel that you're, you know, it's nice to be unique. There's a difference between being unique and being excluded.
Well, there's a difference between being unique and being excluded.
Yeah.
What does that mean in real terms? So that was the wrong way to put that. What does excluded mean? How are you excluded?
Not being represented, I suppose. Like the latest example I can think of was Budget 2023, and I saw I hoped for a huge opportunity for foster carers to get a bit more support, and I was completely let down when I saw that they weren't offered any support. That's exclusion.
So foster carers weren't, you didn't see them supported within the Budget 2023 in Ireland?
Yeah, that's just one example.
Just let me say, did you tweet about this? And did the national newspaper here pick up on that tweet? Is that right?
I'm trying to learn how to use Twitter. I'm going to say I may be 21, but I do not understand social media at all. I may be a granny. I did tweet.
Wow.
I tweeted.
Are you even 21?
I don't know, to be honest.
Yes.
But no, I simply just wrote my thoughts onto my phone and then...
What did you say on your phone?
Well, there was a few, but one was basically that it's the 13th year where foster care allowance hasn't been... they haven't been, you know, given any more money. And if we're in a cost of living crisis, how the hell are you going to expect them to just have the same amount of money? But like,
there's a strong chance more children will be going into foster care as well.
But like, there's always going to be people going into care. That's not going to stop.
Yes.
But we can't like plead for people to become foster carers if we're not going to support them.
Yeah. Moses was adopted, by the way. Just
yeah.
Interesting.
yes.
More supports, really.
So you put out that tweet, and then the Daily Mail covered it, or the Sunday Mail. Who?
I was confused. Someone from the Irish Times followed me, and I was like, oh. And then someone from the Irish Daily Mail private messaged me and just said, you know, what are your thoughts on this? And I myself have been, you know, I was taken into care when I was 2. I'm now 21, and I'm still in that house.
So wait a minute, you're in the same home from 2 to 21?
Yeah. And
that's
I know...
quite incredible, with the foster parents.
Yeah,
That's quite incredible. That's
it
wonderful.
is.
That's how it should be.
Yeah, and I've been through it. You know, myself and my foster dad...
Yeah, well,
there's nothing we can do now. You know, I'm not in care anymore, but it's heartbreaking for people who are going to go into care when, you know, they're not being offered any supports at all.
Yes.
So basically, they just asked me what were my thoughts, and I just said, I'm disappointed. It's not going to help me. I've been through it, but other people deserve much better.
Thank you. I think it's a really good, interesting bit. By using Twitter and social media, you found a voice, and then that voice was responded to by a national newspaper. And also, but I would say that that's great feedback also for government and, you know, for ministers and social workers and the like. It's a very interesting world we're in where that can happen.
Yeah.
I'm just going to move on to Mr. Adams there, and I'd like to ask you, would you tell us about, just because I'm not a football fan myself, to be honest, but, sorry, that sounds out of order, but what you've done is quite incredible. So could you tell me about your sports journey?
It's not great now, to be honest, but I just did an FAI course, and like I did a personal training course and stuff, and I have a UEFA D license, but it's nothing special.
But you're currently completing an FAI course after completing a gym instructing award and a UEFA D license. Yeah? You're a father of one, Jamie. Yeah. Which I think is just an incredible thing for somebody who's had your experience, 14 years in foster care, facing a homeless. Please, would you tell me the story about how you came to be in care, and you don't have to share that, but also how you came to meet the judge who was making decisions about you in the courts, because that's quite a story.
To be honest, I haven't got much knowledge on that because I was so young, like I was 4, but
Right.
all I kind of know is that things broke down in my family home. I was
Yeah.
placed into care, and
And how did you eventually meet the judge? Or have I got that's totally wrong? Do you know what? This is my fault, and I totally apologise. It was connected to a care order.
Yeah, that was.
Is that yourself? I'm sorry. I was so into my own speaking. You know what I mean? Have you heard that saying? It's not. What is it? Let's not talk about me. Do you know this one? Let's not talk about me. Let's talk about you. Okay. What do you think about me? What changes would you like to see happen, Jamie? Any?
well, yeah, a lot. But one of the biggest changes for me is the transition from foster care to aftercare.
I see.
Well, I think we're going to get onto that later. Or do you want me to?
Yeah, please, yeah.
Yeah, so basically when I was 18, my foster placement broke down and I was made homeless.
Yeah.
So for someone who grew up in the care of the state, it's not acceptable at all.
You were in children's homes or in foster
I was
care?
in foster placements like for the time that I was in care, and then once you're 18 you're meant to be an adult, which.
And how did that look? Did you leave foster care and did you go into an apartment or?
Yeah, so basically when I was 18, I just finished my leaving cert and I'd seen all my friends and stuff were going on to college, where for me I had no plans, I had no backup.
Yeah.
I kind of knew what I was facing, that sort of way. I went down to Carlo for a while to try and rent in a student accommodation, which was kind of a bedroom, a bathroom. It wasn't suitable for me. And I ended up having to ring the free phone and was on the streets.
You were on the streets at what age?
18.
So at 18 years of age you were living on the streets?
Yeah.
For no other reason other than you'd been in care?
Well, I'd never caused any problems and stuff like that. I was very quiet, I kept to myself. But yeah, that was the situation I found myself in.
How did you find yourself? How did you get out of that?
I had small supports, which would be Epic, they were a great help, and then another service called Cross Care. But other than that, I was kind of down to myself to just keep going. I did fall through a bit of an addiction and self-harm, suicide thoughts,
What does addiction look like, and what substances?
Well, for me, with the situation that I was thrown into, I'd found that smoking cannabis and stuff was getting me through the day, because I was spending maybe 6-7 hours out wandering around waiting for a hostel to become available, and it's just what got me through now. Thank God, as I said, I've got myself through the hard times and I am doing a lot better, but I do feel failed, by the...
Pardon?
I was failed at 18.
You feel failed?
There was no supports, no accommodation. For someone with little or no family support, it just wasn't acceptable.
Thank you, Jamie. Thanks for sharing what you've shared with me. It's just a wonderful thing that you've done that for us, and thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you. And tell me about stigma. Arson.
Well, I suppose for me it would have been.
You're doing social work?
Yeah, social care. Yeah.
Social care, excuse me. You're in your second year?
Second year, yeah. Yeah, I suppose for me it would have been because I'm a different ethnicity from my foster parents. It was.
You're a different ethnicity?
Yeah, or
Were you the only black in the village? I was the only black in the village. Sorry.
There was me, and then there was another family.
And was the other family
in the estate?
And were you quiet, or were you?
I suppose I was quiet enough at the start. But the other family were in my house, or in the house that I was staying in. 3 days after I went there, and they were just oh, what part of Africa are you from?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? ever. And then I kind of had to have that like awkward conversation. Not from Africa, families from the Caribbean. You know, I was that. But I feel like whenever you're in that type of situation, there's not really any place for you to hide. Because people already know if I'm walking around with my foster parents. Do you know what I mean? It's not.
Yeah, no, it was the same for me. I know what you mean, Alison. You're the, you know, they would, when I was a kid, they would look in the cot, you know, sort of like, and I mean, in the 1960s, it was a different ball game. But yes, yeah,
it was. So it was very difficult, and it's just like having that. I felt like I already needed to have that chat about I was in foster care, and I felt like I was trying to explain foster care to people whenever I didn't really know what foster care was myself.
Yeah, okay. Oh, that's interesting. So you're in foster care, but you don't really know what foster care is because you're just going into another home, which is a home.
Yeah, well, It's
not interesting that we articulate... Sorry, yes.
No, you're all right, No, I just... it was very much like touch and go kind of, and it's just you don't have that conversation once or twice. You know, it's once or twice difficult, but having that conversation 15, 16, 17 times with different people, it becomes like a load. And then as soon as you meet a new person, you're just there like, okay, do you know what I mean? Do you just get it over with?
Yeah.
Or
what needs to change, Alison?
I'd say it's more like just confidence. Usually now at this stage, it's like probably one of the things that I tell people nearly at the start, you know, and I don't call my foster parents, even though I've stayed with them for 9 years now at this stage, or nearly 9 years, I don't call them mum or dad. It's always, you know, their names, and then people go, oh, well, why don't you call them by your names? And then I kind of have to tell them, you know, like I suppose for me, like, I still have a dad, you know, and I had a mom.
Yes.
So for me, it's just like, I can't really be that comfortable calling, do you know what I mean, other people? And it's also, like, later down the line, realising how rare it was that I was put into a placement with my 2 brothers, and I know that can be, like, very rare as well.
You were with your 2 brothers?
I was with my 2 brothers.
Would you prefer that?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Have you seen people be split from their brothers and sisters in foster care?
Yeah, you know, and I suppose sometimes it's manageable to get 2 siblings into the one house, but to get 3 of them into the one house was very nice, I'm very grateful, like, to my foster parents for fostering.
Are you really?
Then obviously, yeah, I really am, yeah, because it's almost like having, like, a family there, and, like, we go out and we do everything on a Sunday, but then, like, I also have, like, for example, I have an older sister and my oldest brother who weren't in foster care, so Aunt and Dan still have them as well.
So they still come to visit you, or?
I sometimes go to visit them.
Okay.
And
that's a harmonious relationship.
Yeah.
That's wonderful.
Similar to Arson, I was in care with my sister.
Yeah.
And it was really nice, because when I was in the care system, I thought me and my sister was going to be separated, but no. Thankfully, I was brought into relative care, so it was kind of easy.
Relative care?
Easier for me. The care of my grandparents.
I see. So the kinship, we call it in England, we call it kinship care.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's you were in care with your grandparents.
And I'm still with my grandparents. So, but even though I have my own disability, my disability is also my grandparents' disability.
Right.
Because, and what I mean by that is, they have to take my disability into account.
Yes. The social worker wanted you to go back with your parents. That was right, wasn't it? And I think you fought that, or your grandparents fought that, Alan.
It was kind of both of us, because as I got older, like, the situation wasn't good at home, and it got to the stage where I thought to myself, maybe back in my family home isn't for me. And the social workers tended to push like reunification with my parents.
Yeah.
And I understand. And I understand they were trying to only do the job, but it was kind of like I told these social workers already that I didn't want to go back.
You just said an incredible thing. You said that you understand that they were only doing their job. That's the child saying about the social. I know you're an adult, but you're saying about the social worker. I understand they were only doing their job, and yet you should have been the central theme of their job. I know that most social workers actually do an incredible job, actually, of keeping families together, which I think is what you're alluding to. But actually, your needs were not seen.
I felt like they weren't doing their job at that point.
You felt
they were not doing their job at that point.
They were not doing their job at that point. Yeah.
Because it's kind of like, okay, we work for you. We don't listen to you. We're only there to do a job. Once we do that job, and once we get you back to your parents, our job is done.
Lauren, what needs to change?
There's a lot to change. I suppose one thing I always say is you can't build a house if you don't lay the foundations first. The care system.
I love a metaphor. You can't build a house
with no foundations.
With no foundations.
The care system's foundations is full of cracks.
It's full of cracks. Carry on.
There's no way we can, there's so much that needs to change that we need to kind of focus on the basics first. And that is that the state is a parent. And all I can say is the state wasn't a very good parent to me. And it wasn't a very good parent to an awful lot of people that I know who are care experienced, who are currently in care or who are in aftercare. If you are going to give yourself the title to be a parent, you may as well act like one. I find it, social workers and aftercare workers, they have an extremely difficult job. But if that job doesn't suit you, then don't do it. You have the word care in your title. So the least you can do is at least care. Myself, I'm an aftercare, and I know a lot of people don't actually get aftercare services, which is ridiculous because everybody should get them, and that should be like enshrined in legislation that it's not a choice. It is their supports for you. You, as Jamie said, you are not an adult when you turn 18. And any of you who have children here, I'm sure if your kids turned 18, you didn't all of a sudden expect them to go have a house. It's not feasible.
Do you know, one of the things that I was never told as a child, I'd like you to carry on, but I just want to share this with you, is to look to buy a house.
I'm never going to be able to.
Nobody said to me, buy a house, even if I couldn't afford it. They never said, aspire to buy a house.
Yeah.
It's almost as if care experienced people, it's expected that we're not going to get very far.
Yeah,
and that is hurtful. Yeah. It's very unkind, and it's not something that anybody would think about their own child. So
Harry
why the
Potter
hell
was a
do you think
foster
about? Yeah, exactly.
Superman was
and
a
he's
foster
magic.
Yeah.
Oliver Twist.
Exactly.
Luke Skywalker fostered.
Exactly. All of them. All of them.
Let's go through the list. Matilda.
Yeah.
Spider-Man.
Yeah.
James Bond fostered. So people will be happy to read books about successful foster children to their children, and yet can't see it.
We're not expected to go very far. You know what I mean? It's not that we're all going to become social workers, but some of us have pretty cool jobs.
Okay,
do you know
now
what
this I mean? I'm an interrupter. It's not a very good style of law, but it's who I am. But I need to know your job.
I hyped it up. It's not as cool as it is.
She works for Glennis.
Yogurt, it's not that exciting.
Foods.
I am head of customer care, and then I'm
head of customer care. Sorry, head of customer care. I've got 21.
And marketing.
Head of customer care.
Marketing and events coordinator as well. So I have 3 titles. I'm also marketing and events coordinator. So
Absolutely.
We're not all going to go nowhere. Do you know what I mean? Like if your job as a state parent is to, one, be a parent, but I don't know any parent who doesn't believe in their child.
No,
Just because you don't live with us doesn't mean. Do you know what I mean?
Stop showing off.
Believe in us, Alan. You're cool as well. Just it's. I know you asked what needs to change. So much needs to change, but the main thing is that the child is the focus. Do you know what I mean? Like the child is in your care. That should be your focus. We are not a statistic. We are not a checklist that you go to an access visit as a supervisor or whatever and you tick off this list and then you go home. I understand having a job is hard. Having a 9 to 5 is hard. Being a social worker, I'm sure, is extremely hard. But think about the trauma that the child has been through. And I've been in care since I was 2, and it's in the past 2 years I've realised it is kind of traumatic. I kind of just brushed it off, but like, it's a lot. And the least that a parent could do is be a parent.
Do you know, I love that the people who are like those who are most in need of the service of social workers are the ones who empathise with social workers, as if you're a social worker for the social workers.
Yeah.
Well, we've experienced
it's
social
really
workers,
interesting that you do that. It's like a child understanding that the parent hasn't got lots of money. Children don't do that. They just want the parents to give them the money. Yet a person in care is understanding of the person who's employed to work with them. That tells me that your empathy is quite extraordinary on superhero levels, in my opinion.
Yeah, and you're meant to have, one social worker in your care experience. I think I had 12. So, and I know people move jobs.
How many times were you fostered?
Once.
Once, okay. So you were fostered, because sometimes it's people are fostered 12 times, and they've got one social worker.
Yeah.
But you were fostered
one time with
12 social workers.
So I can empathise. It's not an easy job.
Oh, stop it.
But then again, it's not an easy life being a child who was put into a situation that they have no control over. You're all of a sudden responsible for me, and, it's just be nicer.
Jamie, what needs to change?
Well, I addressed earlier on just the housing kind of situation, but also someone in foster care being very quiet and struggling with like anxiety and stuff. I feel like the child's voice needs to be heard.
Are you talking about mental health, mental well-being?
Yeah, like during until I was 17, I didn't get any mental health supports.
Yes.
With a lot of traumatic things in my life, like being in care, losing my mother, stuff like that. Like, never once was I offered supports with that. And then also being quiet, as I said, I was kind of pushed to the side. And
being quiet, you were pushed to the side. Incredible. Because being quiet is a way of expressing yourself as well.
Yeah.
Somebody should have been able to see that.
Yeah, yes. That's what I mean. Yeah. Like, I wasn't heard. Just because I was quiet and I wasn't causing any trouble, I felt like, that sort of way? Like I was looked after, but I wasn't. That sort of way? But,
if any parent's child goes quiet, the parent reads that, right?
Yeah. Yeah. It wasn't never read in my situation, and stuff like review meetings, and like when I was meeting a social worker, and like I felt like the social worker had a better connection with my foster parent. That sort of way? Yeah. Like, it's just things like that just need to change, like, because it's had a knock-on effect to now, like.
When I was in care, I had, because you're reminding me of an experience, I had depression, very bad depression, and I actually told my social worker to get me a psychiatrist, actually, it was, because I was frightened because of what they might do to me if I didn't get myself diagnosed.
Yeah.
And
like, there is very limited mental health support for people in Ireland, and also us people in care.
But you would be most in need of it, right? Because you would be a child in care. You could pretty much say they will have suffered from some form of trauma because they're without their family.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's a given that actually they will need attention in terms of mental health being, I think.
Like, something needs to be set up, like, that sort of way. Like, it's not great, and thank God, like, I did do some stuff that I'm surprised I'm still here, but there's obviously a reason I'm still here.
Yeah, well, we're glad you're still here.
Yeah, well,
we are glad you're still here.
Thank you.
We are glad you're still here, man.
But yeah, I just feel very let down, and
yeah.
not only me, but everyone else as well, because I've been to A&E and been sent home, and when I'm very suicidal, sort of way, and it's not okay, I could have done anything, and I would have just been another one on the list, maybe, that sort of way, just another one of care leaver or whoever gone, it's not acceptable.
Jamie, thank you. Thanks for speaking out.
For a person like myself with a disability, growing up in care wasn't an easy thing, because without my grandparents, I was unsure where I was going to go to.
Without your grandparents, you were unsure of... I missed that.
Where I was going to go to.
Okay, where you was going to go to, yeah. My fault.
I thought I was going to end up in a nursing home.
Yeah.
Looking at the same four walls. Looking at a TV, just thrown in the corner in my wheelchair. Without my grandparents. That was my fear, okay, where am I going to go? And, like you said in your opening speech.
Which is very good, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Like you said in the opening speech, which was very good.
Well, thank you.
A child in care possibly only wants a hug, a phone call, and I don't think I got that in my care journey of social workers. Now, I had an aftercare worker, which is a person who steps in after your...
So that's after 18?
Yes.
I'm going to have to move us on.
Okay.
I'm going to have to move us on, Alan. Carry on.
A child in care deserves a hug, deserves a phone call, and deserves to be asked, are you okay? How was your day? And since I've joined Ethic, they've really done that for me. In 2020, where we had this thing called coronavirus.
Coronavirus.
I don't know if anyone heard it. But Ethic has been really supportive and continue to be supportive in each and every bit of work they do.
EPIC is empowering people in care. It's a group here that's supported by the minister, I think, and by children's services, etc. And it's run by and for people in care. Is that right?
Yeah. And finally, I just call on the government to don't forget people with disabilities, but also don't forget young people in care. And I wish Minister Roger Gorman all the success of being Minister for Disability. You're doing a good job, but there's improvements. Like my education is a struggle for me because I have this ability. Like I tried to go to college when I left secondary school, but I couldn't do it because the lack of support for SNAs was a big issue, because I need help with toilet facilities and stuff like that. So I couldn't go to college, but hopefully in the next few years I can go to college. And just remember, people in care are human beings. We all have our own lives and we want to live that life. So thank you very much for the opportunity today.
Alan Fay, Lauren O'Toole, Jamie Adams, and Arsene Martina, thank you. Thanks a lot. Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Thank you. Look at them. Stood up for you.
They're stickers and badges.
Oh, thank you. Oh, thanks. Okay, thank you. Thank you. Oh.
I feel we could just go home now, because I think we just have all the answers. Lem, thank you for taking us down that cul-de-sac.
Thanks for allowing me to take you down the cul-de-sac.
It's such a familiar story to us in Ireland,
Yeah.
but at the same time, it's always so hard to hear the deprivation of love that people experience going through that system. And we'll have to get you back to find out what happened to your wonderful mother.
Oh, it's a wonderful story.
We need to hear that story. And I just want to acknowledge the extraordinary work that EPIC are doing to support young people in Ireland. I never, ever... I'm continually inspired by the leadership work of the EPIC Youth Council. You can see many of them are moving on in their lives and their careers, and yet they continue to do this work. They speak out for other children and young people going through the system in the hope that their lives can improve. So I just want to give them another round of applause for that amazing work.